Good morning. It's Tuesday, December 28th, and I want to talk today about poverty. That's poverty around the world, not only in the United States. So I read that almost 100 million people have been driven into poverty because of the pandemic. And a lot of this poverty has happened in Asia, in Africa. There are clothing factories there that were closed down because the workers were getting sick. And we all know that the vaccination situation in those countries was pretty bad. But because of the closing of the factories, these people who live in their part of the world have no work. And they are forced to move back to their small villages and live in dilapidated, corrugated metal shacks, getting fed once a day from some health organization or some charity, and it's very difficult to live under those conditions. And one of these charities raised an interesting point. They said that the 1,000 richest people in the world could solve this problem by giving money, by giving a share of their wealth. They're talking about billionaires, multi-billionaires. And one of them who was singled out was Elon Musk. And the charity said if Elon Musk could give $6 billion to help the poor, he could almost wipe out the poverty that exists in that part of the world. And that $6 billion is only about 2% of Elon Musk's net worth. But Musk had a great answer, and I really appreciated this answer. He said to them, fine, you can have the money if you present the plan. You see, Musk is smart enough to know that if he gives them the money, he's not sure they're going to do the right thing with that money. And we have seen this time and time again, where organizations, governments raise money, X amount of money, for a cause, but they have no plan. And it's as if they didn't get the money. It doesn't work. So Musk was very smart. He said, show me your plan. And of course, they didn't have a plan. They just talk. They don't have a plan. They don't know how to deal with this situation. And you know, the interesting thing is that 100 million people in the world, we're not talking only in the United States, we're talking in the world, 100 million people out of over 7 billion people is a very, very small percentage. It's less than 1% of the population. But it's still a very serious problem that has to be addressed. And we can't address it by dealing with these organizations that are set up to help people, because they don't have the skill set to help these people. They don't have the way, the thinking power to come up with great ideas to help all these people. And in many cases, they are too buried in what's happening in their part of the world necessarily, right? Not overall, but in their part of the world. I mean, we're not doing a great job in the United States with our poverty. And imagine that. If one man could relieve the poverty of 100 million people, what do you think our billionaire set could do? There should be nobody in poverty. We could do away with food stamp programs and everything like that. But you know, most of these people who worked hard for their money are reluctant to give it up to those who have been less successful. And that's part of our big problem. We haven't created a world where people can get ahead easily, where people can get the education they need. I mean, you think that much of the population can afford to send a child to school when a semester at a relatively inexpensive school is about $30,000, say? Now, the state schools, they do better than that, but in any event, It's very, very hard to get a good education inexpensively. These people who go to school here end up with long-term debt. And now we're fighting to relieve that debt, to lower the educational debt in this country. They put a mandate on it. They put a halt to the payments. They gave a reprieve to people. They've even eliminated some of the debt. But I digress. World poverty is a major problem. It's a real major problem. And we are worried about many other things, and this thing is just slipping by us. We're not paying attention to what's going on in the rest of the world. We have our own problems. So the mere fact that there's 100 million other people in poverty doesn't seem to affect us on a day-to-day basis. But it is a terrible problem. And especially when you consider that these are the same people who are going to get infected by the virus and continue to be infected by the virus, because obviously they are not getting the same medical care that we get. They're not getting vaccines over there like we have in this country. Or if the vaccines are going there, I don't know if they're reaching the people in poverty. Vaccine inequality is a huge problem in the world. The wealthier countries are buying up the supplies of vaccines, and they are not distributing them to the lesser populations, to those populations that don't have the money to hoard the vaccines like the wealthy people. So it's imperative that the wealthy nations share their vaccines with the people who are impoverished around the world. After all, we take advantage of them. Those are the people that are making your clothing and your knickknacks, the stuff that we farmed out, the stuff that we sent overseas to be produced. It's being produced in these countries where people are living on $2 a day. So we owe them health. We owe them these vaccines, and we should be distributing them properly. I know we said we have, and maybe the U.S. is the only one that's doing it. I don't know. There are many other wealthy countries in the world. I don't know what they're all doing. But it's a shame that these people have been driven into poverty. And beyond being driven into poverty and eating one meal a day, they're not getting vaccinated. So if we want to stop the spread of Delta and Omicron, and who knows who's waiting in the wings, we have to do something about it. And Elon Musk had the right idea. We need a plan. We need a plan to help these people. A plan that guys like Musk can agree to. Not some plan that's put together by a half-assed organization. So, I leave you with those thoughts today. Less than 1% of the population is 100 million people. And they have been impoverished by the pandemic. And if those people continue to get sick, and we don't supply the vaccines, then this pandemic may not end in 2022, which affects all of us. So that's it for today. I'll see you in the morning. Bye.